For those who have been craving a Justice League review, oh man, here we go. Today's Toy Spot, we're going to be looking at the Justice League Unlimited. We're going to be looking at the exclusive Gorilla Grodd 6-pack. Now, don't be confused. There is actually two different 6-packs, and I'm not counting the one that I'm sporting. But there was two 6-packs that featured Gorilla Grodd. There was this initial 6-pack that featured, hopefully as you can see, a Batman, a always used Flash, and an always used Superman. But they also gave us a Red Hood, a Gorilla Grodd, and a Lex Luthor. There is also a 6-pack featuring Gorilla Grodd called the Secret Society. And the Secret Society, as far as I know, as far as I can remember, has the Gorilla Grodd, the Lex Luthor, and the Red Hood with slight recolors. And they market it really as a more show-accurate, show-paint-accurate 6-pack. But then what they did was they swapped out the Batman, the Flash, and the Superman for, I think, non-articulated, or at least the non-knee elbow articulated versions of Batman with the bluer color of cape and cowl. I think they gave you a Wonder Woman and a Superman, also both with the non-articulated knees and elbows. It's entirely really up to you which set you want to go with. Like the Secret Society set was released later on. This was the initial set, and really, for the exclusives that this set comes with being even though the Lex Luthor really has been packaged before, and you can get him in a single card, the Gorilla Grodd and the Red Hood, you can get in either pack, so it really doesn't matter necessarily which pack you go with. But we'll look into that more as we get the package open and the figures out on display. As you can see, a very commonly used package. There's nothing really unique about it. On the side you can see the Justice League members here. On the back of the package features the other figures released kind of around the time that this set was released. And these were released 3-packs. So again, to drive up my point home earlier about the Justice League Unlimited figures, very hard to review because as I review, say, a single-carded Darkseid, you can also get Darkseid packaged with a non-weaponed Orion, Mr. Miracle. There is also a Justice Lords 3-pack. There's the League Members 3-pack, which it's just a waste. But there's also an Ultra Humanite, which didn't come with his weapon. There is a Green Arrow without his weapon, and there's the very disappointing Supergirl. You can certainly go these routes and go with the 3-packs. The only downside, though, is they don't come with any weapons. So while the Orion is nice if you haven't picked him up, the real strength is to get Orion in the single-carded because he comes with his hover chariot, or whatever you want to call that. The Green Arrow, the single-carded Green Arrow, of course, comes with his arrows and his bow. And to get the 3-packs, you're not going to get any of that. But I suppose it's alright if you haven't picked up these figures, you can go back and get them again. But we'll do these. We'll try to do these all separately. I won't talk too much about it right now. But that is the packaging on the initial Wave 6-pack. What we'll do is we'll open it up, and we'll go through each of the figures individually. I won't focus probably too much on the top 3 characters because, again, you've probably seen it to death. But so stay tuned, guys. We'll get this opened, and there's much more to come. Okay, so we've opened up the pack, and here we have all 6 figures. And somebody's going to say, hey, there's only 5. Yes, there was a 6th, and for those who were paying attention, it was the Superman. Why is the Superman not on display? Well, bring him in right now. Looks like a pretty decent figure, right? Oh no! No, he's not. Yep, this is how I took him out of the package. As you can see, his peg that goes into his his stomach or his upper torso broke completely off. And actually it was broken when it was in the package. All I did was I pulled the figure and I noticed that the torso stayed, and I ended up getting just his legs. If I didn't already have like 100 Supermans, this probably would bother me. Being that I have 100 Supermans, and I exaggerate, something like this is not that big of a deal. So, broken Superman, we'll just put him aside here. We'll look at the figures, the non-interesting figures first. You get a standard Flash. Nothing different from him to the original articulated elbow and knee Flash. Nothing different. The paint scheme's the exact same. And Flash. There we go. Move him aside, and it's dwindling. We only got like three to the left. Three figures to go through. Comes also with a Batman. Very silly. I know. I've mentioned this already before. Look how large Superman's arms or Batman's arms are. Yeah, I mean, the more I look at it now, and the more I'm seeing these figures again, the more I'm starting to appreciate the less articulated figures more than these. And if you had asked me years ago when I started collecting these, when I first initially saw the elbows and the knee articulation figures being slowly taken out of the line, I was crying. Well, I wasn't crying, but I was angry. And now that I look back on it, I think I see why they did it. And I'm happy. I think I'm glad now that they've gotten rid of the articulated elbows and knees, because at least Batman is a little more streamlined now. But you get a Batman. Nothing new there either. And let's look at the other figures. The other figures in this wave, or in this box set here, as you can see, we've got Lex Luthor. And this isn't the Lex Luthor of the Superman and Lex Luthor Battle Armor 2-pack. Right after they, of course, released that 2-pack, and they released a second Lex Luthor. I believe actually this might have been the first reissue Lex Luthor that had the new sculpt head. And I think this head is much more accurate to the cartoon. It's just a shame that the only way you can get Battle Armor Lex Luthor is to get the original Lex Luthor with the egg head. But this was the original, I believe this was the originally released Lex Luthor with this head. Of course, Lex Luthor has now been released, I want to say like 5 or 6 times. This mold with the holster and the belt and everything else has been released 4 times, I want to say. I know most recently they released this Lex Luthor with a Mutiny in the Ranks, or is it Mutiny in the Ranks? It was the set that had the Delta Ray, the Gentleman Ghost, and Luthor was included. I believe Psycho Pirate was also included. Yeah. There was also a Lex Luthor that was released in a 3-pack with Cheetah, and they actually took the holster out and they gave him a jail prison outfit. And actually, that's a nice figure to get as well. Even though, like I said, it's the exact same mold. There is nothing different about it. But there you have Lex Luthor. A nice figure, actually. A pretty decent figure. We'll put him down, and we'll have a look here at Red Hood. Now, Red Hood utilizes, if I take the helmet off here, utilizes the exact same mold as the 3-pack released Joker. The only difference is they've colored the Joker outfit black instead of the original purple, but they've copied the mold right down to his card. This is the problem I have with this particular figure. It's nice that you have Joker, and while I commented I didn't really like the fact that he had a card in his hand, the fact that he's Red Hood, I don't think he should have had a card. And I know Mattel was just using the exact same mold, they only really added this piece here. But the fact that he's Red Hood, he really should not have had a card. If they had given him just a straight arm, I would have been much happier with this particular figure. The other downside to this figure too is that the dome itself doesn't really fit. It doesn't snap into place or anything like that. It's just completely loose. It is nice that you got a Red Hood. I mean, he's certainly a figure that I was really not expecting to see. But the fact they gave him a card, bit of a disappointment. It's a bit of a disappointment. But there you have Red Hood. Oh, by the way, before I do Gorilla Grodd, the articulation on both Lex Luthor and the Joker are standard. So you have the articulation in the head. The shoulders move, as well as the legs. But that's it. And there you have Red Hood. Put him aside. And the real selling point to this set, the very large Gorilla Grodd. And there was a slight repaint with the Secret Society Gorilla Grodd. I didn't actually pick up that set because, really, for the 3 figures that this set has, there's no need for me, at least, to pick up the other set. But I believe the Gorilla Grodd was just slightly repainted. And it doesn't look as though it utilizes any of the molds from the Ultra Humanite. And I really thought in the beginning that the arms and maybe, if anything, the legs would have been reused. But they do look like they're all unique to this figure. And he is very large. Actually, you know what? He's very heavy, too. And I don't know if you can gauge it really by this review, but he is a very large figure. I mean, in fact, so much so, if I bring his nemesis, if you've watched the Unlimited cartoon, if you bring out his nemesis, Lex Luthor, you'll see that Gorilla Grodd actually is quite a bit larger than Lex Luthor here. Of course, if you've watched Justice League Unlimited right to the very end, you'll know what happens to Gorilla Grodd. I won't spoil it, but I liked the character in the cartoon. Powers Booth did a great job doing Gorilla Grodd. A+. Shame that they didn't continue the series any longer than what they did. I know. But the figure is very nice. And all the reason, I think, as much as the Red Hood is a nice exclusive, the Lex Luthor is nice, this is the reason to buy this set, is for this Gorilla Grodd. His articulation is that he has articulation in the head. You can rotate the arms, you can bend at the elbows. There's nothing in the hand, which is not a big deal. And you can bend the legs, but you can really only bend them back. That's it. Just because of his big gorilla belly gets in the way. But this is a nice set. And again, if you can't find this particular 6-pack, I would say the better set to go with, at least in my opinion, is the Secret Society set. And it, as I mentioned before, it has the Gorilla Grodd, it has the Lex Luthor right here, and it also has the Red Hood right here. The only figures, again, it has different are the actual League members, which if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure is a Wonder Woman, a Batman with a slight recoloring, and it's the less articulated, and a Superman with the less articulation. The newer sets feature more vibrant paint schemes than some of the older sets. Just case in point, quickly, if you look at the Superman here, this Superman is a darker blue, more almost like a metallic. There's a bit of a metallicness to it, and his face is very shiny. I'm finding the later released sets tend to be a little more cartoon accurate. The blue on Superman seems a little lighter, and the red seems a little brighter, and the face seems a little more softened. It's not this shiny kind of plastic. So for that reason, I would say the Secret Society set probably is a stronger set to go with. But if you own this set, that you're looking at right here, I don't think there's enough reason to pick up the Secret Society, especially for all the number of times that you're probably going to get those other 3 figures anyways. But a very strong set. Disappointing a bit on the Red Hood, but the Gorilla Grodd makes up for it. And I'll give this set about a 7. A very, very nice set. But that was a toy spot on the Justice League Unlimited, and that was the 6-pack featuring the very exclusive Gorilla Grodd. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more toy spots on the way, and I'll see you guys then.